So, welcome back to lesson 63 of the BiOptimizers Healing Health and High Performance Program, your complete guide to biological optimization. And today we're going to talk about meditation, flow, and focus, the three states of mental mastery. And so, for those of you who don't know, I have a long history for the last almost 15 years. I've been following the process of meditation. And, meditation isn't something that's like some weird thing that you can only do in ashrams in some far off place. Although I highly recommend checking that out. I actually spent some time back in a monastery in England, or excuse me, in India, learning some of the principles. And meditation's been a practice that has been around for thousands and thousands of years. And it's basically about getting your consciousness or your brain, meditation, is about getting your brain and your physiology, or sometimes you could call that your chemistry, and your emotional well-being into an optimal state. And the research now over the last, few decades have been demonstrating, thanks largely in part to the Dalai Lama, who has conducted and has sent out a lot of his monks to around the world to go undergo scientific testing to actually prove the science behind how this is so effective. And in today's world of outrageous digital technology, I think it's more applicable than ever. So what are some of the benefits that you get from these type of things, and how is meditation different from flow and focus? So I'll try and explain this. And I want to be clear. I'm not a super expert on meditation. I would recommend going to someone who's been practicing for 30, 40 years and has made this their life. I know I spend periods of times with some meditation masters in order to understand and to start applying these techniques. It is a science all of its own, and a very powerful one. So meditation is kind of, we kind of imagine someone sitting there in that home, that sort of thing. But what does that really mean? Well, first and foremost, it's about harmonizing these three things. Sometimes we've experienced it. Have you ever been into a situation where you experience flow, where everything just seemed to be happening? Maybe you were playing a sport, maybe you were listening to music, you had a special event where everything just lined up. Like you pulled up to the event and the person at the front of the, outside the building, you had the one parking spot in all New York City. Or you were on the playing field and, you just knew where the puck was going to be or the ball was going to be, and everything just felt like it was in slow motion. Almost everyone has experienced that flow state at some point in their mind. So that's kind of like that's a most common, I would say. And virtually every top athlete will talk about the flow focus and how that's kind of like a meditative state, because you can achieve that sitting in one space, or you can achieve it in movement, which is a lot of people doing this. But to get there, generally it comes from focus. And there can be like direct focus, or sometimes called soft focus. This would be more Hindu-based, I guess, and this would be more Zen-based. Those are traditional practices that have been following out there. So soft would be relaxed gaze, where you're kind of peripheral, maybe eyes half closed. In direct gaze, you'd be focusing directly, let's say right here, which is a point of concentration on your mind, focusing directly. And from either way, some people are better for different types. Experiment with different ones. What tends to happen, and then you start monitoring the breath. In other words, you go into a state, and you start relaxing the body, relaxing the mind, calming, watching your thoughts. And through watching your thoughts, or observing, we'll call that, or watching your thoughts, you start to realize, well, who's the watcher and who is the thinker and what is the body? You start getting separation between these components of what it is to be human. And what starts to happen is one becomes aware of sensations inside the body. One becomes aware, so physiological sensations. You become aware of emotional things inside your body. If you're agitated emotionally, that sort of stuff. You'll even get tuned into aspects of your brain function, whether you're in a alpha state, beta state, delta state, theta state, all those type of things, which we talked about in other lessons. So by getting into understanding how to do this, one is able to develop a practice that allows you get into flow. And you do this by starting with a focus, which is the process of meditation. So for example, what I typically do is I sit in a comfortable chair. Some people will see sitting on the ground, that sort of thing. I sit in a comfortable chair, get the spine erect. So if I'll turn sideways so you can see, just like this, so you get a nice little arch in the body, relax the body. Chin parallel to the floor, eyes focused here, and then I just begin watching the breath. Taking breaths in, breaths out. Sometimes I'll do a few of the double exhales. We talked about right in the very, very, very first, way long ago. Boy, you've come a long way. So these are kind of the things that you start in doing. And by doing it, what happens is you're going to, at first, most people are going, oh my God, I can't meditate because all I get is these thoughts. Well, that's not exactly true. You're actually becoming aware of the amount of thoughts floating through your head. And there's a researcher that says that 95% of the thoughts that we have are what I call repetitive thoughts. In other words, they just keep, that stuff that keeps going around your brain. Oh, I got to pay the bills. Oh, what are the kids doing? We got to get stuff like most of the thoughts that we think of over here. But it's this 5%. This is where excellence is found. And by taking a little bit of time out of each day to get into this state, we start increasing this exponentially. So imagine this. Imagine everything that you've achieved in your life now, the awareness or the emotional satisfaction or happiness you have. Imagine if you could take a little bit of time and turn that into 10%, doubling virtually everything in your life, doubling your happiness, doubling your state of awareness about your physicality, doubling your ability to handle emotional stress. And what we found with meditation is your capacity to handle an increasingly stressful world becomes amplified significantly. And understand this, whatever goes on inside your brain, okay, here's your little happy face again. Whatever's going on inside your brain is directly affecting your physiology on an unconscious level. So if you will, meditation is the process of bringing awareness to that which you're not normally aware of. And it all starts with the breath. And the reason that a lot of people avoid this is because they first hit that first zone where they first start observing their thoughts or their feelings or their emotions, it seems erratic. And they don't stay with it long enough. The couple keys that you want to do is to set up a routine place. So if you're doing meditation, take a routine place. A little room in your house or a special little seat that you sit in. Sometimes people will, whatever your devotional faith, you'll put some devotional figures you want to focus on. If you're not religious, you're more of a Zen thing. They have a different way of doing it. That there's no anything. It's a soft gaze, maybe out in a peaceful setting, by a tree or that sort of thing. What happens is the routine place helps you get into state or into flow. If this is your regular seat, this is your regular thing that you sit in, and you start off just doing 5 minutes. 5 minutes a day. And we're going to have some basic meditations for you that are going to be available on the website. So you can go to BiOptimizer website, and we'll be showing you some practices and stuff that we've used and some of our colleagues have used to find the practice that's right for you, whether it's this style, soft style, or direct focus style, it doesn't matter, whatever works for you. So you do that. The other thing is how to make it part of your life. You can also do this, for example, oftentimes if I'm sitting in a place where I've got to wait, you're at the doctor's office or you're in line up for someplace. I'll just sit down in my seat, close my eyes, and just start letting the tension go, watching the thoughts go, not trying to control them, and letting it go. And pretty soon you start to notice that you get calmer. Another great place to do it in, traffic. I know a lot of us are dealing with traffic. If you can get into a meditative state in traffic, it's really nice. So just, when you're all the chaos is all around you, just kind of sit there. Okay, I can't do anything right now. I'm stuck in traffic. There's no sense of getting emotionally upset because that emotionality has horrible effects on your health, both short-term and long-term. And it can hijack your brain and literally get you anchored into what do you say, dysfunctional mental and physical and emotional states because it's become a habit pattern. Not all of us had the greatest upbringing, or we might have had situations in our life that were uncomfortable. Meditation, in my experience, is probably one of the simplest, easiest, fastest, and most effective ways to get people to manage this aspect of their life. So be sure to incorporate in this life. Start with a goal of 5 minutes a day, either just before you start or the start of the day or just at the end of the day as part of your early morning routine or part of your end routine. And if you can, do it on both sides. Just allow those thoughts, emotions, and feelings to drop off, and you'll be surprised at how well meditation will serve you in the future. And we're going to talk a lot more about this in upcoming aspects at the BiOptimizer site. It's something I'm really passionate in. Meditation made a huge difference in my own life, and I'm certain it can really help you too. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. We'll see you on the next one.